Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Master of the Universe series, and today we're revisiting copyright. Yes, copyright claims are on the increase when it comes to YouTube, and third parties seem to be claiming content even though you've gone out the way to get the license, get the approval you need to use said content, but these third parties are still claiming it. Now, we talked about copyright before on the channel, but I've actually taken extra steps and extra measures to counter these claims, which I'm going to explain today in this video. Now, before we get into it, I want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all episodes of MOTU. Now, before we get started, I would suggest anybody who didn't see the original MOTU where we talked about copyright to go and check that out, and I have linked it in the description box below because that will give you good grounding about what we're going to talk about today, because we're not going to talk about WWE themes. They are going to be different. They're going to be separate. If WWE goes and claims an entrance theme, it's very difficult to get that removed. In fact, I would say it's highly unlikely you'll get that removed. But in that previous video, I gave you alternatives and ways to work around it. In this video, we're going to be focusing on bands and artists that you've contacted, you've obtained a license to use their music, or you've been given permission to use their music. You go and put that in an episode of Universe Mode or use it as a theme for your universe, and then later on down the road you receive a third party claim. Now, these third party claims can be very nondescript, which makes them tricky because you don't know if they're legitimate or not. And from your perspective as a YouTuber, your best interest is to ensure your channel doesn't receive any problems. And you're always concerned that if you dispute a claim like this, it could get rejected, then your channel could be striked, or in some instances, your channel could be taken down. Well, let me clear this up for you. You can dispute any claim. Your channel won't be taken down, and your channel won't be getting a strike. It's if you appeal that claim after the initial instance and the dispute is rejected. That's where your channel can come into problems, because if you appeal that dispute and that third party rejects it, then I believe your channel can get a strike, or in some instances it can be taken down. Now, if you've gone to the effort to obtain a license, or you're signed up to an audio service like Audio Blocks, Audio Micro or Epidemic Sound, there's plenty of others out there, you would then have a music subscription service that you're paying for those licenses. So you'll have a license agreement on that website, or you'll have a license agreement that you've agreed between the artist or the band. It must be in writing. You'll have it on the website, so if you're signed up to that subscription service, it will be there. But with a band, if you've contacted them, you must have their response in writing. If you've got that, you can dispute with a third party. You have everything you need to get that claim released. However, there is going to be the occasional shady third party. And this is a third party that doesn't own the rights to the music. They don't care. They're just claiming it. And if they don't care about that, it's likely they're not going to care about your dispute. So they're going to reject that too. And if you think, well, I have permission, I have the license, I have it written, I prove that to you in my dispute, and you go ahead and then appeal, it could come back and bite you on the arse, because, let's be honest, this third party doesn't care. It didn't care about claiming a song that doesn't belong to them. It didn't care about your dispute. So why would it care about your appeal? They're not even reviewing them. They're just clicking reject and being done with it. They are manipulating the system. So my advice to you is not to get into that. Don't get into the appeal process. At that point, take it on the chin, think smart, step back, don't detriment your channel by getting either a strike or a takedown, step back and go through either emailing creator support direct to YouTube or going via social media and contacting them through one of their social outlets, for example, YouTube creators. Go through that and let them know that this third party is abusing their copyright system. It might take its time, it might be more frustrating, but that is the best way to do it because it removes any concern that your channel is going to fall into trouble, even more so than just receiving this claim. A claim, yes, I do feel if you have the rights, you have the license, you should fight it because you've gone to those efforts, but not if it's going to damage your channel. And of course, in this instance, you're never going to be 100% sure that this third party is going to admit the truth. So you just don't go there. But this is the saving grace from my perspective. I have had so many of these third party claims recently, and they've all been for tracks that I have licensed to. I've either got them from Audio Micro, Epidemic Sound, or even if I've contacted a band via Facebook, they've given me written permission, and then I'm getting a claim for them. Well, I can tell you I've fought all of these and I've won. I've disputed and the claims have either been released, or these third parties that are shady, they wait it out, they can't respond, and I get the monetization back on my video because they can't answer my dispute. But the one issue that's coming up, and this is what I want to help you with in this episode of MOTU, is the fact that these third party claims are not coming off of recent videos, they're coming off of historical videos. So I'm getting claims for videos that are a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, some a year ago, and in some instances 3 years ago. Now, unless you are the most organised person on the planet, I'm sure some of you are, more organised than me, you would have not kept a record of every track and where it came from and be able to pick up a dispute very quickly. And so when this started happening, I was like, wait a minute, I know that I have the rights to use this because it doesn't matter if it was 3 years ago, the licenses that you've acquired still stand. And you just have to go and check the wording around that license. So for example, if I had a license with Audio Micro and then at a point in time I decided to move away from that and go to Audio Blocks, you just have to check the terms and conditions, and in most instances it will comply and say if you were with that subscription service at that point in time when it was uploaded, then your track is still eligible to be monetized under the license agreement. So you just got to go and check the fine detail. But with that being the case, that you're having to go and track back. So for example, I get a claim on a video for a song that I used 3 years ago. I'll think to myself, well, that came from Audio Micro, so I know that the license is valid. That's fine. I might not be using that service anymore, but I did have a license for that. So I need to go and dispute it. I'll go back and look. But the trouble is, these third-party claims, if you ever get them, you'll see that it doesn't actually specify the correct track name because it's false. So you have to go and find the track name. Now, unfortunately, and I'm sure many of you are doing this as well, you don't actually have the track name listed at any point in your video unless you've got the edited file. And if you're keeping that, by God, you are good. By God, you are organised. Me, not so much. I don't have the editing project from something from 3 years ago, so I can't go back and simply check the title of the song and go boom, there's my dispute. it's not a quick process. I'm having to go to Audio Micro and then filter my way through the songs because I don't have access to that anymore because I've left that subscription, but the license is still valid. I've left it, and I'm having to look back and try and find the song. Sometimes I'm finding it, sometimes I'm not. But in all the instances where I've had a claim, I've disputed it, I've found the track name and I've said, look, this was the license agreement that I have, it's still valid now, and boom, that claim is gone. So initially, to counter this, because the claims are coming from years ago, I actually opened a spreadsheet and I started to keep the track names. Now it's very simple, very basic this was. All I did was I put license and I said where it came from. So for example, under license, under that header, I'd put Audio Micro. Then I'd put the artist and the track name. So I'd have all of that, and I'd also put the video. So I'd have the title of the video too. So if I got a claim, I could then filter by the video, find the exact video that they're claiming, and check the tracks that were listed in it. And I'm only listing the tracks, for example, that came from either a licensed website or from a Facebook agreement with a band. So I can easily go and identify what song it was. But then I kind of thought, oh God, I'm going to have to keep this massive spreadsheet. And then I'm going to have to tie up the video, etc, 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 etc. I just felt like I didn't want to do that. So I did initially mention that on my social media to keep a spreadsheet. There's a much easier way to do this. Once you've edited your video, your current video, so unfortunately, if you want to go back in history and tie up all your tracks, you can, but going forward, this sets a precedent to go forward. What you should do is you edit your video, you note down the license track that you're going to use, and then when you go to upload the video, right at the bottom of your description of that video, just put 3 key points: license, artist, and track. You don't need to put the video because it's in the description of the video. So the minute you get a claim from a third party, that video, they're going to identify it and say to you, it's this video. You just go to the description, you see, oh look, I got this from Epidemic Sound, that's the track name, that's the artist, paste that in to your dispute, submit, boom, job done. So there's no need to have a spreadsheet. I thought that was going to be the best option at first. Then I thought, no, I'm going to have to keep adding to this spreadsheet constantly. I thought it was going to be long-winded, time-consuming. I'm also having to list the title. The best way to do this is to just keep the tracks in the description. So if you use 3 or 4 tracks, then just put them in. List them in the description. And then you can go and match them up if you need to. And you just drop them into your dispute and it's done. Now, if you're doing a band, for example, where you've got an agreement through Facebook, it's most likely you're going to be promoting that band through your description box anyway. So it's quite easy to actually do that, to check it out, because you'll probably have the link to the band in the description. But when you're using these licensed websites, because you think you're paying out a subscription fee, you think to yourself, well, I don't need to list the track because I've got the license for it, I've got the rights. But the trouble is these third parties don't list the actual track. They do all smoke and mirrors, so it makes it more difficult for you to identify it, because then you just give up and you allow them to have the monetization. And the way to avoid this is to list those licensed tracks in your description, so when they come after you, you can respond and bat them off nice and swiftly. So I wanted to put this out there because I don't think many people, I think there are a few, but I think that if you're a new YouTuber or if you're learning the ropes, and I've only thought about this as experience has gradually caught up with me. At first I was very naive to this, but copyright is encroaching more and more and more on YouTube, And I think we do have to take cautions and take steps to nullify this, because there are so many of these bogus third parties coming out the woodwork who feel that they can take your entire video for one track that they believe they own when they don't. A great example of this is I had one track for one of my episodes of Universe Mode, which just so happened to be a pay-per-view. So they were claiming the entire Universe Mode video, which was 3 hours long, for one track that lasted 2 minutes. Absolute nonsense. Ridiculous. You can't take away all my hard work because you believe you own one track, and as I've said, in most instances they don't even own the track. You've got the license, you've got the proof, you've got the evidence, you should be in control, but YouTube's copyright system is letting you down at the moment, so you have to prepare and equip yourself. There's no point in taking to social media and just crying about it, because actually if you're smart you can fight it. So I wanted to put this out there today. It's all about preparation, and I know when I started this wouldn't have even crossed my mind to have to make a note of the licensed tracks that I'm using, because I thought, I'm paying for this, I'm paying this subscription. But you do, because these jerks are out there. So I wanted to make this clear. I wanted to help you guys. I know I've taken quite a long-winded process to explain this, but I wanted to break it down, and I wanted to tell you about my experiences with this as well, because I find copyright a very big deal these days with YouTube. I think it's only going to get bigger. I think these third-party companies are only going to abuse this system more, and the only thing we can do is prepare for it, because I went on social media and I said it's wasting my time and time again. These companies are coming after my videos. I have the license, but I have to go and identify the song. I got sick and tired of it, and this is a step to stop that. I have all the details in the description. You want to play a game? Come at me. I'm Triple H, bro. I am the game. So there you go. That's my suggestion, that's my tip. That's to help you guys deal with these copyright claims. If you're signed up to a subscription service, if you've got a license from a band, you can fight this and you can deal with it swiftly and quickly. No going about and having to search for music, finding out what track you had in a certain video at a certain point of time. None of that. It's there at your fingertips. So all that's left to be said is I hope this helped. Another episode of MOTU in the bag. And if you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments. And also as well, if you've got any suggestions for future episodes of MOTU, please let me know them too. This is Delzinski taking the fight for copyright. Signing out.